Thone's Galatians, Nibble 19. Fears for the Church, Part 2. And as I said, I'm not going to reread the 13 verses every time since there's 5 such lessons. But you just remember that last time we talked about the issue with legalism. Today we're going to be talking about maturity. Now, why is this in the Bible? It's what they needed. Communications, the difference between childhood and maturity. Application to my life, and really everybody's life. This is sort of about everybody. As we are educated in our childhood, one of the important steps is learning the letters of the alphabet, because in them we begin to put together thoughts which are more complex, and also have the ability to pass these thoughts on to others. Thus, they are one of the basics in society. Having a well-defined structure based upon these elements is important in training children. However, we would and should be puzzled and concerned if we entered into a library or a university classroom or a church and find one of the leaders there reciting the ABCs. This is, it's just like having to count on your fingers to do arithmetic. I mean, it's just something that isn't done amongst people who are mature. There is a point when the tools are learned and we start applying them towards the general good. Until we reach this point, we are in bondage to the process. When we recognize we are liberated from the child's lifestyle and live our lives as adults. The Mosaic laws teach us the boundaries of good and evil. Once understood, we may apply Christ's doctrine. We must at this stage also have the judgment to follow the Lord and not somebody else. Our relationship to the Lord is our relationship to the Lord. We study His Word. We read His Word. We listen to His Word. All these things are part of becoming a mature Christian, right? Is learning first what He said, and then perhaps on a surface level what that means, and then maybe the next time we read through, we get a little deeper meaning out of it, and the next time a deeper meaning. And then eventually, like me, you have a bookshelf full of various kinds of commentaries and study Bibles and so on. And then you have several great intellects telling you what he means, and so on. The point is, even with those great intellects that are in the books that are over to my right here, and I do refer to a couple of my favorites just in, I read everything they say just in doing these little devotionals. And when I'm writing a sermon, I generally use 7, possibly 8 sometimes, different references and read everything that those people said about it. And then I make up my own mind, and that's what I preach in a sermon. Occasionally, someone says it so well that I just echo that back, giving due credit, and that's okay too. But that's only in a case when I vehemently agree with what the person said. But some people have a wonderful way of saying things which are true, and so we have to read that. However, and if you have never been told by your preacher sitting in the pulpit, I'm saying this, but you need to study this and convince yourself that it's true or not true. Please come to me if it's not true and tell me why it's not true. That's the kind of a preacher that you want to have, because they're not leading you based upon some whim of their own thinking. They're teaching you, hopefully, because they understand. And if your pastor has never told you that you should be studying and therefore agreeing or disagreeing with what he's just said, and if you disagree, tell him why, then there's a question about the pastor, because that's really what pastorship is. It's a man teaching other men. And I mean that not in the gender sense, but in the brethren sense. If you routinely follow your pastor without thinking, without considering, without reading, without studying, then you are in a situation which could lead to going from a basically correct church to a heretical church, because a human being is the only one who is reading or quoting the scriptures, and that human being has their own prejudice, of course. So I hope, I'll say it right now, I hope that when I teach these little lessons that you question everything I say also, because that's the way you mature in the Lord. I hopefully have already matured for the Lord, and that's fine. But the thing is that whenever a teacher is teaching, sometimes you need to teach the teacher. So please question everything I say in your mind. And if you can't get the answer, then let me know and we'll talk about it. So that completes today's lesson, and I'll talk to you next time.